point out that the sun shines down its power to all the world and makes the wind blow strong as it will. I wonder how gentle rains can fall upon the land, so lovely earth can stay lovely still. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 515th edition of Energy Week with George Harvey and Tom Fennell.
In the flesh.
Tom is in the flesh.
But not in the studio.
But not in the studio. This is material that came from my blog, geoharvey.com. And it's put up, the blog is posted every day. Today is the 23rd of March. And we are starting with, a week ago today, the 16th of March, to do news. And we'll keep you apprised of what the date is, or at least we'll try to.
Try to, anyhow.
Try to. Down below on the screen, there is a place that you can look at a file or a link to Energy Week number 515, and if you go there, all of the articles in there, each one of which has a synopsis and a picture, each one of them has a link to the original article in case you want to read the article. Also,
well,
you can...
some of those articles are well worth reading.
Absolutely. The other thing is...
Long.
What's that?
Some of them are long.
Some of them are long. The other thing is you can go to geoharvey.com and click on the calendar to find them. So we're starting again on the 16th of March, which is a Thursday. And let me put the picture up for that. This is a picture of the United States from space, obviously at night. And this is looking at the area just up north of the Gulf of Mexico.
So all of those bright spots are cities.
Those big bright spots are cities. This was not a photograph that was taken in a brief moment. This was a bunch. This was probably a time period. And if you look in the lower right, you can see long streams that go on into nothingness of light, and those are along the various branches in the delta of the Mississippi River. So the bright lights there are New Orleans and Baton Rouge and...
Yep, absolutely. Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know if Miami's there.
No, Miami is not on that picture. I can assure you of that. So this is from Christian Science Monitor. What do you have for a title?
Renewables surge, yet carbon emissions hit a record. What gives?
Yeah, the world's emissions of heat-trapping CO2 rose to record levels last year, according to the International Energy Agency report. But renewable energy sources continued their exponential growth. Some analysts believe that the world's fossil fuel demand has peaked. Now, do you have any comments on that, Tom?
Well, they want to sell the oil while they can.
Yeah, I suppose they do. The oil and gas and industries are looking at diminishing returns and assets that'll have values going to zip. And yeah, that's what, and by the way, Bloomberg, as I recall, was the one, but they said that they believed that the oil industry peaked in 2017.
Are we going to talk about that in this trip?
Maybe we are.
Yeah, I think we are.
Okay, good. All right, rings a bell. Okay, should we go on, Tom?
We'll move on. We've got a nice picture of a Volkswagen ID to all.
Indeed we do. And I'm getting lost here because I've got multiple mice to deal with. Yeah, this is from Clean Technica.
Honda and Volkswagen accelerate EV plans.
Yeah, Honda and Volkswagen. I don't know how to pronounce Honda right, but I know how to pronounce Volkswagen. I should pronounce it L a little more carefully. Volkswagen.
Uh-huh.
Both announced plans to ramp up their conversion to electric vehicles. Honda is moving production around to clear factory space for its forthcoming EVs, while Volkswagen says it is committed to investing more than $193 billion worldwide over the next several years.
That's a lot of bread.
Well, you know, I think I've said that if you gave me that much money, I'd spend it in the next few days. But
I don't think you could.
you don't think so? I'll bet I could. I bet I could do it. Okay, let's take a bet.
Buying Bulgaria or something.
What's that?
Buying Bulgaria or something.
Oh, maybe. Let's just see. Tom, you take your position that I can't do it. I will take the position that I can. If somebody in the audience wants to give me $193 billion, we'll find out whether I can spend it in a few days.
I'll have to spend it.
Even if you lose the bet. But I have to tell you, Tom and I are not betting real money on this. And
By the way, for what it's worth, Volkswagen, or Volkswagen as you say,
Yeah.
it means people's car.
it means people's car. That's right. And do you know who founded it?
Yeah, Ferdinand Porsche.
No, he was the first engineer. Volkswagen was actually founded by a person who was a little bit more famous than Porsche.
Hitler?
Yeah, it was founded by Hitler.
Uh-huh.
At least I think it was. He was really heavily into it. Okay, we have an item from CNN.
Looks like a smokestack to me.
It looks like a smokestack to me too. What's the title of the publication?
EPA finalizes rule to cut down on harmful smog and pollution from power plants.
Amazing.
Fine.
The EPA has finalized what is called its Good Neighbor Rule, which aims to cut down on smog and NOx pollution, that is nitrogen oxide of various forms, from coal-fired power plants and industrial facilities. A rule to reduce carbon dioxide pollution from coal and natural gas is expected soon. Now, one thing about this is the EPA is acting as the federal government here on pollution that crosses state lines.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So-
okay, so states have done this already.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So, you got more on that?
I don't think so. Let's move on.
Okay, we have a really nice picture of a ship here. I'm sorry that it isn't brighter. I
It's
like
Friday, March 17th, also known as St. Patty's Day.
that is correct. St. Patty's Day. And you were telling me that Patrick means highborn.
Yes.
This is from the BBC.
Well, it's a picture of a modern sailing ship. I don't know if it's a real picture or an Irish concept.
It's a
But
concept, I can tell you.
they're coming.
Yeah, they are. And I want to get back to that ship. What do you have for title?
Returned to its ancient roots. And the
get-
BBC is bringing us this statement.
Yep. To get on track to reach net zero emissions by 2050, international shipping will have to reduce its emissions by 15% by 2030. So far, emissions from the industry have been going more or less consistently in the other direction. Emissions from shipping can be reduced by using sails, however. And
Well, this makes a lot of sense. I mean, we proved this in the 16th century with Magellan.
yeah, that big tall thing on that ship is a sail.
Sail, yeah.
And
It rotates.
it's a rigid sail, and it operates like the wing of an airplane.
Yes.
You can turn that so that the wind blows over
Being
it.
in the right direction.
Yeah, to keep you in the right direction. And this ship is a little bit weird. I noticed that the bridge is forward near the bow. The part of that is closest to us is the bow. That's a blunt bow.
Yeah, look at that. You're right, absolutely right. I thought it was the other way around, but I'm looking at the bottom.
Yeah, that it has a knife edge going into the water, but what's above is blunt, and I'm not sure why that is. Do you know why the bridge of a ship is called a bridge? By the way, Tom.
No, I don't.
Well, in the 19th century, when they started putting they started putting side paddle wheels on ships.
Yeah.
It made it hard for the people who were on the afterdeck to see. So what they had to do was they had to move the helm.
Right.
And what they did to do that was to build a bridge that went from the structures holding the side paddles from one side of the ship to the other.
Makes sense.
Well, when the side paddles went away, they had already got used to calling this thing the bridge.
Yeah.
So no matter where it went, it was the bridge.
Well, since the structure was there, they decided to use it.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, I'm going to press ahead here. We have a picture of a solar array. And
That's what it looks like to me, but it's different. It's floating.
yeah, that's right. This is from Clean Technica.
Well, this is one of the problems with solar is they take a lot of real estate.
Yes.
So if you can find a way to not suck up real estate, you're headed way ahead of the game. And putting them on reservoirs is their way.
Yes, indeed.
And you save water to boot.
That's right. What do you have for a title?
New study gives a big boost to floating solar.
Well, there's a clue that it's floating right there. We didn't need the picture. A study in the journal Nature Sustainability argues that floating solar on many of the world's reservoirs could provide a significant share of renewable energy needed to transition away from electricity generated by burning fuels. This means that pressure is off of land use for solar. Well, agrivoltaics means that too, but...
Pardon?
Agrivoltaics means that too.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And, we're still in a growth cycle here. We're still trying to figure out what's the best way to do things.
Yes, and I think we probably will be for at least 15 years. I mean, you talk about...
It's going to be a while.
Yeah, it's going to be a while. You talk about having gone through engineering school and spent 47 minutes learning about batteries. And there's been more learned about batteries in the last 10 years than there had been in the preceding 100 years.
Absolutely.
But I don't know where that's going to stop. We have no idea what the final solutions are going to be for batteries.
No, we're in a state of
transition.
growing.
Yeah, that's right. That is right. Okay, we have an image here of a train in the background.
Looks like a choo-choo, but it's not.
Yeah, it's right.
Train.
It's
Definitely an electric train.
it's an electric train.
And it says solar array. Well, you could have fooled me.
This is from emberclimate.org.
Solar and wind dominate India's capacity additions in 2022.
India
That's
saw...
no surprise.
What's that?
That's no surprise.
No. India saw strong growth in renewable capacity in 2022, setting the stage for the country to assume climate leadership in the run-up to this year's G20 summit.
I think that's a priority of the Indian government.
Yeah. Solar and wind capacity accounted for 92% of the year's total additions. Only 5% of a new capacity was coal burning.
I'm surprised they didn't even 5%.
Well, I don't know what's going on in these people's minds. And by these people, I'm talking about really not just Indian politicians, but politicians in general. I think they believe that we need baseload power, and they don't know how to get it from renewables. And it's kind of silly, but there it is.
And you say battery storage?
Yeah, they don't know how to spell it. What can I say? Should we go ahead, Tom?
Get this.
I think you've reminded me of that quite a few times. Okay.
Hey, we're coming up to Saturday, March 18th.
We are. And there's a picture here of a farm in Wisconsin.
That's what it says. It's not Vermont.
No, that's not Vermont, although, I don't know, it could be
Nice
in
tree.
some places. What's that?
That's a nice tree.
Yes, it is. It's actually a kind of a nice looking farm, although I don't think anybody's been plowing near that barn. I think that's probably dairy. Okay, this is from hnGnews.com.
It is? Yeah, it is. Wisconsin's renewable energy wave is prompting some farmers to lease a land for fields of solar panels.
Yeah, Dean Ortwell, CEO of Chippewa Valley Electric Cooperative, said he has seen farmers offered $750, $800, and even $1,500 per acre in lease offers from solar energy developers. That compares to $250 to $350 per acre for farming use.
That's triple the price.
That's right. They can make much more money leasing their farms out for solar arrays than farming them.
And if they do it right, they can grow underneath the solar panels.
Absolutely. And it's the same thing with wind power. In fact, it's even better for wind power because the whole thing is more convenient for them.
Wind power doesn't take up much real estate at all.
No, it doesn't. There's a lot. A lot of it depends on how you count the wind. How big is a wind plant? But for example, the Roscoe wind plant in Texas, the plant is bigger than a county.
Wow.
But when they put it
Big
in,
in Texas.
yeah, when they put it in, they had a county full of people there. What did they do with them? Well, the people just kept on living in the area, even though they were living in a wind plant.
Well, with wind power, it seems that the roads to access them take up more space than the wind towers themselves.
Yes, that's right. That is correct. And they do have to access them because they do have to do maintenance on them. So anyway.
Well, it's a step in the right direction. It beats burning coal, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Now we have a picture of a politician.
Looks like Senator Sheldon Whitehouse.
I've always thought that this guy should be president.
He's a good guy.
Well, not because he's a good guy, just because of his name. The idea of having a guy in the White House whose name was Whitehouse.
Well, he's also a good guy.
I think he is, yeah, I think he is. Well, he certainly pays attention to the environment. This is from Clean Technica, and you have a title.
Now, chair of the Senate Budget Committee, White House, argues that it is a warming planet poses fiscal dangers.
Right. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, a Democrat from Rhode Island, is now the head of the Senate Budget Committee. His first day there on that job, in that position, he gave each of his colleagues a 615-page binder detailing the fiscal threats posed by droughts, storms, wildfires, and rising seas.
Well, you can give them a 600-page binder, but you can't get them to read it.
Well, given the amount of material that those politicians in Washington have to read, I'd honestly
be... At least that somebody in his office will read it.
Yeah, probably. Although I think that there are people in opposition to all of this who will probably just toss it.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
It's a step in the right direction. We are making a continual stage of small steps, but they're in the right direction.
We are making a bunch of small steps, and they are in the right direction. And the problem that we've got is that in order for us to avoid really sad consequences, not just worldwide, not just poor people, not just people who probably already don't have enough water and food, we're going to have problems if we don't deal with the fact that everybody has got to be, well, let me put it this way. People in Africa, if they're going to have electricity, which they are, mostly burn some kind of fuel in a generator of some kind to get that electricity. And in order for us to get them to stop polluting the atmosphere, which, by the way, we share with them, we've got to give them a way to get electricity that's different.
We saw a picture on this show, I know we saw it, of a thatched hut.
Yes.
Straw hut with a solar panel on the roof.
That's right. That is right. And there have been a bunch of those. I really enjoy those pictures. They're fun. Now, Senator Sheldon Whitehouse has one way of speaking with one message, and here's a character who has a different way of speaking with a different message.
Huh?
I'm talking about the next picture.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
This is a character I would not like to get into an argument with.
My God, what big teeth you have.
Yes, that's right. You notice that he probably needs a dentist. Okay, this is from CNN.
Brattleboro, South Africa's big new game park, is the result of a dramatic transformation.
This article, if you want to read something that's fun, this article might be the one to read. 5 years ago, the area now safeguarded by the Babanango Game Reserve in the KwaZulu-Natal region of South Africa was virtually devoid of wildlife after decades of cattle grazing and unrestrained hunting. Now it's coming back to what it once was.
Makes sense.
There's a bunch of photographs. I didn't use one of the photographs that accompanied the article because they're all copyrighted. This particular photograph I got from Unsplash, where you can use them. But
my God, such a big animal with such small ears.
I'll bet those ears aren't all that small. They're certainly small compared to the ears of an elephant.
For sure.
Yeah. There's all kinds of animals in this. A few of the animals actually had to be reintroduced. Human beings had to reintroduce the animals. Lions had to be reintroduced. But a whole bunch of animals just showed up. They heard that this was a place to live, and they didn't like the rent they were paying elsewhere, so they just showed up.
People who do that, animals too.
Yes, that's right. Okay, should we go on?
Why not?
Okay, we're up to
a ski resort, and I don't know which ski resort it is.
That ski resort, I don't remember. If you
doesn't look like anyone that I'm familiar with.
Yeah, I don't remember where that was. I should have put it in.
I'd say it's not Vermont because I'd know it.
Yeah. This is from Sunday, March 9th, and the article is from the Times Leader. Let me get that.
March 19th, isn't it?
March 19th, Sunday, March 19th.
Okay. That's what I got.
Yes, it is. That's right.
Ski resorts embracing climate activist role.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
Ski resorts have tiny greenhouse gas emissions, but they have an outsized influence on popular culture. And in the business world, some resorts have gone beyond reducing their own emissions to leverage their influence to shift public opinion and advocate for climate legislation. Now,
well, they're in a good position to do that.
They are, absolutely they are. A lot of ski resorts, this is something, as I write for Green Energy Times, one of the things that I've written about repeatedly has been the inclination of ski resorts in Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire. I don't remember New York, but it may be there. But ski resorts in the northeastern part of the United States, mostly in the northeastern part of the United States, doing such things as going to all renewable energy for operations. So in this particular picture, if this ski resort is really operating on a renewable basis, the lift system that you're looking at would be operated by renewable energy.
It
And
would make sense to put a solar panel on each pole.
possibly,
Yeah.
another thing that they have that is a big deal is the snow guns that they've got for building up the snowpack, and doing that
Right.
from renewable energy is not difficult. But
Okay.
some of them are basically 100% renewable now. So there we have it.
Well, they're usually located remotely from the sources of power, so if
Yes.
they manage themselves, they're way ahead of the game.
Yes.
And they got the real estate.
Yeah, yeah, sort of. Yeah, that's possible. It might be that they're operating on power purchase agreements from places that are 50 miles away and so forth. But they're arranging to have their electricity supplied by renewable energy. Okay, our next item. Let me get this up.
Well, it says it's rural India.
That's what it says, and this is from Clean Technica.
India.
In India, that's right.
I
And
said
this is
India.
India, and this is
That's the way my grandfather used to pronounce it. India.
India. You know,
I lived there for a while.
yeah. My mother, who grew up in Nebraska, when she made a distinction between Indians who lived in India and people who were called Indians by most people who lived in the United States.
That was a mistake in the beginning.
Well, you know, I have friends who are American Indians, and I have actually asked them, would you prefer to be called that, or would you prefer to be called Native American or something else? And the one guy said, I'd prefer to be called Indian because everybody knows it's not true. You call people Native American and it doesn't mean anything. Where were you born? I said, Kansas. He said, you see, you're a Native American.
Yeah, right.
He regarded Native American as kind of like shoving the dirt under the carpet. Anyway, this article is from Clean Technica. So what do you have for a title?
India can achieve energy independence by 2047 through clean technology.
That's right. And why 2047? It's because it's 25 years from 2022. Okay, India can achieve its vision of energy independence by 2047, according to a study titled Pathways to Atmanirbhar
That means
Bharat.
self-reliant India, by the way.
What's that?
That word means self-reliant India.
There you go. This is written by or published by the U.S. DOE's Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory. One benefit of this changeover will be that it will save Indian consumers $2.5 trillion.
That's a lot of money.
Well, you know, even I couldn't spend that in a day or two.
Oh, you'd be able to do it, I'm sure, if you put your mind to it.
Well, I don't know how. I mean, I can imagine spending $1 billion. Spending $1 trillion? I don't know. That's, yeah, I don't know.
By Yugoslavia and Bulgaria.
For that kind of money, I could buy all claims that Vladimir Putin has on Ukraine.
Oh, sure.
You know, I mean, really.
Don't get me started.
What's that?
Don't get me started.
Oh, yeah, I shouldn't get started either, but, you know, well, there we go. Okay, I'm gonna go to the next picture here.
Well, we got a picture of a plane with contrails.
Yes, and by the way, please, those are contrails, not chemtrails.
Right.
And we can see this very clearly by looking at this.
Absolutely.
A chemtrail is going to start at the edge of the plane.
Right at the wing.
Yeah, and a contrail starts after. I shouldn't say it that way. I should
Well,
say
it's too hot. When it leaves the plane, it's too hot, so you can't see it.
That's right.
Off, and you see the clouds.
If it emerges behind the engine that creates it, it is a contrail.
Bingo.
If it starts at the plane, it might still be a contrail, but it could be a chemtrail. And if you look at the planes that are throwing dye into the sky so that they can make red, white, and blue patterns and things like that, the various planes that from military organizations whose people are showing off, that could be called a chemtrail. That actually is a dye. It's supposed to be a safe dye, but
Sky ready.
yeah. The other thing is that anytime you've got an object going through the sky at supersonic speeds, and that includes the tips of the propellers of propeller-driven aircraft.
Oh, absolutely.
I have seen contrails from the tips of propellers from propeller-driven aircraft that go around in circles in the behind them. It's kind of stunning. And one other thing, people look at the sky and they say, "Wow, it isn't dissipating. Why isn't it dissipating? It must be a chemtrail." I got news for you. You are used to looking at clouds and not seeing them dissipate. Well, a contrail is a cloud.
Absolutely.
Okay, this is from Open Democracy. Sorry for the speech. Go ahead, Tom. What do you have for title?
Airlines downplayed science on climate impact to block new regulations.
Yeah, airlines have been accused of using...
Money talks.
Right. They've been accused of using, quote, typical climate denialist, end quote, strategy after downplaying decades of scientific research on aviation emissions to block tougher regulations. Campaigners said the lobbying tactics echoed those of the 20th century tobacco industry. And by the way, do we have an article, do you remember, Tom, about, I think it appeared today, so it wouldn't be today, but the big airport in Amsterdam, they have been told to limit flights going out.
No, I don't remember that one. So
okay, it may appear next week. I think it does appear next week. We will talk about it. But and one of the things that happens is the contrails are not good. The reason why the contrails are not good is because they're adding to the clouds in the sky that reflect heat being given off by the Earth back to the Earth.
They're putting moisture in the air.
They are, but they're reflecting heat back to the Earth, and they are apparently adding to. It's not just CO2 coming out of these planes that are a problem. It's also the clouds they create are reflecting heat back to the Earth, and aviation technology has got to be changed. In my opinion, it just has to be changed. Okay.
Well, they're controlling this technology are being forced to look at what their technology is doing for the first time.
Yes. Okay, we are up to Monday, March 20th.
Yeah, all day.
We have a picture of a funny forest.
Looks like a pine forest to me.
Doesn't it? With a goldfish floating around in the air.
What did you just say?
With a goldfish floating around in the air.
It is a goldfish, right? A flying goldfish.
Flying goldfish. There is such a thing as a flying fish, of course. Clean Technica.
6 ways to remove CO2 pollution from the atmosphere.
Okay, since the Industrial Revolution, humans have emitted more than 2,000 gigatons. That is 2 million megatons. That's a lot of CO2 into the atmosphere. This concentration of CO2 and other greenhouse gases in the air causes the climate change impacts we're experiencing today. Here are 6 ways to draw it down. Now,
I will list them. They're quick.
Oh, good. Thank you.
The first one is trees and forests,
Okay.
farms and fields,
Yeah.
carbon removal and storage. Now,
Yeah.
that's an important one. Direct air capture,
Right.
carbon mineralization, and ocean-based approaches.
Yeah. And there are things that are missing from this list that I kind of regret not seeing there. You know, bogs are really important. They can draw down much, much more carbon dioxide than forests.
Absolutely. You're
But,
right. Yeah.
you know, here's a place that a person can kind of go to see a list. By the way, that picture is seaweed that's being grown. And yeah. That's why there's a fish in the middle of it. But it does look like a pine forest or something, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it's seaweed. I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, should we go on? Probably.
Why not? We got a nice picture of an atmospheric river.
Yes, and an article from CNN. Let me put the atmospheric river up where people can see it. This particular atmospheric river is not recent. It's from January of 2021. And but read the title, please, Tom.
The 12th atmospheric river is headed towards storm-fatigued California, threatening even more floods.
Yeah, we will have another article about this. The last article is about the same thing. Let me read the synopsis of this. Still reeling from the onslaught of powerful storms and floods, California is bracing for the 12th atmospheric river that is expected to bring a new round of heavy snow and rain to the state. The latest storm is already dumping rain and snow on the state. Now, that is as of Monday.
Well, we've talked about atmospheric rivers in the past.
We have.
And an atmospheric river is a narrow corridor
Yep.
of concentrated moisture in the atmosphere.
Right, and you can see it right in the middle of this picture.
Right there.
Yeah, it's right there. And we have another view which has got false colors, and it's pretty apparent. Okay, I'm going to go on to the next thing. This next picture,
Something wrong with that railroad track.
I don't think that railroad is going to get repaired unless those tracks are actually taken out and replaced.
I think you're right.
Very sad. But you know, even those tracks couldn't stop the earthquake. How it gives. This is from a publication called World Crunch. And there you see it right in front of you.
How climate change may be triggering more earthquakes and vice versa.
Yes.
It's a two-way street.
What'd you say?
It's a two-way street.
Yes, it is. And it's really kind of mind-boggling to think that climate change would cause earthquakes and earthquakes could cause climate change. Between 1900 and 1950, the Earth recorded an average of 3.4 earthquakes per year with a magnitude greater than 6.5. That figure doubled to 6.7 a year in the early 1970s and was almost 5 times that in the 2000s. This increase may be connected to climate change. Now, the article kind of explains how that can be connected. I forgot to put that picture up for people to see, so now they can see what Tom and I were talking about. That railroad track got kind of bent.
A little bit.
Do you have anything to say about this particular article, Tom? Not
that you haven't said already.
Okay.
All I can say.
One of the things that they're saying is, as the climate is changing, you take Greenland, for example, the sea level is rising everywhere except Greenland. Why is the sea level not rising at Greenland? Because the snow on Greenland is melting, and that means that the Earth's crust is springing upwards in that area because it's been pushed down by the snow. What happens when you have a big change in the crust of the Earth? Earthquakes.
Quakes.
And, you know, the effects of these things, the science is not settled on this, but the connection between earthquakes and climate change looks like it could be real. Okay, we're up to Tuesday, March 21st.
And we got a picture of a melting glacier.
Yeah, we do indeed. This is from CNN.
The climate time bomb is ticking. The world is running out of time to avoid catastrophe, according to a new UN report.
Okay, the world is rapidly approaching catastrophic levels of heating, with international climate goals set to slip out of reach unless immediate and radical action is taken, according to a new UN-backed synthesis report. Now, I just wrote an article about this. You can see the article at Green Energy Times. And this synthesis report takes a report that was published in 2021 and two reports that were published in 2022, and it synthesizes them into another report. And at the time this article appeared at CNN, that synthesis report had only part of it had appeared on the internet. The bulk of the report had not yet appeared, but the introduction to the report, which is 37 pages long, really told the story. Now, I want to point out, the synthesis report, the three reports that this synthesis were based on averaged something over 2,500 pages each.
Wow.
And, you know, the first of these had 14,000 sources that it referenced. It was written by several hundred scientists. And more to the point, in order for this report to be published, it had to be signed off by all of the member countries. So it was signed off by the United States, it was signed off by Russia, it was signed off by Iran, it was signed off by China, it was signed off by all of these countries, and it says, we're in trouble.
We're doing too little, too late.
We're doing too little, too late. And why did that happen? Well, what did you say about money, Tom? Money?
Money talks.
Louder than a lot of other things, like sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But money in the right hands.
Yeah.
Before it's talk.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, should we go on, Tom?
I was just going to say, it's pretty cheap to buy a congressman these days.
Oh, man. Okay.
Let's move on.
Clean Technica. We have an item from Clean Technica.
A picture of an oil pipeline. Is that what that is?
That's the oil pipeline that was put up, I think, in the 1970s. That's the one that came down in Alaska a long time ago.
Well, it goes along with the title. U.S. pipelines contain fewer years.
4 years.
4 years of U.S. steel demand and will be scrapped for it.
I laughed when I saw this. Peak oil demand is expected to arrive between 2025 and 2030, and peak natural gas by 2035. That means a lot of scrap steel will become available, including the 3 million miles of U.S. pipeline and 40% of deep water ships that carry bulk coal, oil, and gas.
They're not going to need them anymore, huh?
That is a lot of steel to scrap.
For sure.
It really is. And, you know, the person who wrote this has been investigating steel, and he's been looking at the use of hydrogen for steel and the use of recycling for steel. I was surprised. Something like 70% of the steel used in the United States is actually recycled.
Is that so?
Yeah. I mean, 70% of our steel comes from recycled sources. Okay.
Used cars.
Yeah, when they crush a car, it's because there's steel in it that's worth money.
Absolutely.
Okay. We should go on, I think. This next one is good too.
Right.
I like
Picture of an electric ferry.
Yes. With two ends and two bridges, one on either end. Okay, this is from Renewable Energy Magazine, and you have a title for it.
BV class hybrid ferries. That's battery. BV is battery what? Battery.
I don't know. A battery vehicle? Oh, Bureau Veritas. It's Bureau Veritas.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
Okay, BV-class hybrid ferries.
With battery and solar power to be deployed in Hong Kong.
Well, where else would you deploy them? Bureau Veritas, a world leader in testing, inspection, and certification, has announced that it will class 2 hybrid double hull. Now, double hull is important. Double-ended ferries, which will be equipped with battery and solar technology for operation in Hong Kong, and that is one of the ferries.
I spent an afternoon in Hong Kong getting drunk with a whole bunch of sailors from the Queen Elizabeth.
Oh, really?
Which even though they're sailors, they weren't part of the Navy.
Well,
but they drank hard.
A lot of people drink hard. We are up to Wednesday, March 22nd, and we have a lovely picture of wind turbines. And this
looks to me.
What's that?
Looks lovely to me.
Doesn't it? Okay.
That's Vermont.
What's that?
It could be Vermont.
But it's not. I can tell you that it's not.
I'm sure that it isn't. But...
Okay, this is VOA News. VOA is Voice of America.
Uh-huh. And it says, renewable energy sees record increases in 2022.
Yeah, renewable energy saw a record increase in 2022 with capacity up almost 10% globally, as 83% of new power capacity came from renewable sources.
That's significant.
It is. This is according to the International Renewable Energy Agency, but the agency also warned that is still not enough to limit climate change.
That echoes what I just said. Too little, too late.
Too little, too late. Well, you know, we're not at a position here where if we don't get it all done by some date, the world ends by that.
We got to get it done.
We have to get it done, and we've got to act as quickly as possible, even though we're getting into a period, and we're not in a period where we know things are going to go sour. We're in a period where things could go sour, where we're headed toward things going sour. But you know, every once in a while when I'm thinking about this, I think, I knew going into this that there was going to be, and by that I mean going into my blog, going into this show, going into, you know, working on energy and renewable energy and so forth. I knew it's going to ramp up slowly. There would be people fighting against it. It takes time. And so I knew that we would be behind the 8 ball for a long time. I had hoped that we would be coming out of it pretty clearly by this time. We're a little late, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't stop trying, because we don't.
Money's talking. We got to overcome that.
Yes, we do. Indeed, we do. Okay, I'm going to take that beautiful picture down and put up another beautiful picture.
Yeah, this is a very nice picture.
Isn't that a nice picture? That is trees. Believe it or not, that's trees on that land.
That's what they call it.
This is from the BBC.
Can we really take CO2 back out of the air? Well, yeah, we can.
Okay. Yes, we can. The AR6 report. Now, the AR6 report is the report which is the synthesis report that we talked about earlier on the show. And that it's called AR6 because it is the 6th synthesis report. There have been a number of them over the years. They don't come out every year. They come out about every 3rd or 4th year. The AR6 report, published by the UN's Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, which is called the IPCC, should serve as a survival guide for humanity. Now, survival guide for humanity is in quotes.
That's a significant quote.
Yeah, it is. And this is from UN Chief Antonio Guterres. And by the way, he is from Portugal. It is looking more clear that we will have to remove carbon dioxide from the atmosphere actively. And here is a look at that
He's
possibility.
right.
Yeah, we've got to find ways to draw it down. And honestly, I was of that opinion years ago. The question is, how do we do it most efficiently? And I think, you know, there are going to be people who are going to try to make money drawing down carbon dioxide.
Well, people are already doing it.
People what?
Are already doing it.
Well, they are, but they're not doing it. The technology that they've been working on has not been built up as much as it could have been so far. There are companies that are putting up what I would call demonstration equipment, demonstration plants showing that they can draw down CO2. It costs...
It's a market that has to be attacked and conquered, and people are looking at that.
Right. Drawing down CO2 is something that is really important.
Essential.
What?
It's essential.
It's what?
Essential.
It's essential. I think you're right, Tom. We're going to have to do it. The question is how. And it's like other things relating to energy. If we're going to use energy, we're going to have to make energy. And if we're going to make energy, we're going to be producing certain kinds of pollution. There is pollution that comes from mining silicon for solar panels, for example. Silicon, we're talking about mining sand. It has to be really good sand. Can't be just any old sand. You can't just grab a beach.
No, it's got to be special sand.
Yeah, and mining that sand is going to take energy, and really there's no way to produce energy that doesn't have some kind of pollution associated with it. But the pollution from coal is probably...
That's pretty wicked.
It's 100 times what you get, the pollution you get from wind. So,
Okay, I'll find that.
you know, it's, and by going to less polluting resources, we can actually get to a point where nature can recover. And nature can recover. But at this point, I think we're going to have to spend money because people have been buying congressmen.
Money talks.
Money talks. Okay, our last item is coming up, and we had mentioned that this was going to come.
Well, we talked about atmospheric rivers, and here's another picture of
Here
one.
is another picture of an atmospheric river.
And you can see a superimposed over that is California, Nevada, and Utah.
That's right. And this is actually just a portion of the picture that came from NOAA, because it included all of Oregon and Washington. But you can see here in this atmospheric river, and this is from
Good picture
yesterday. This picture was from yesterday. Okay?
of one. Quite current.
What's that?
Quite current.
Yes, that's right. It is current, and there's more about this today. You can see that this atmospheric river is hitting. Well, it's actually hitting Mexico just as hard as it's hitting California.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe
City.
harder. Tijuana.
Harder, yeah.
But one of the things that happened today. Well, actually, let's read the. This is from BBC. Why don't we read what it says first? What's the title? Tom?
California, excuse me, California battles heavy floods with more rain and wind to come.
Right. California residents are confronting heavy floods as the state braces for yet another week of storms. Millions of people in central and southern California, including the Los Angeles area, are under flood watches as the 12th atmospheric river of the season is hitting the state. Now, the thing that I wanted to mention about this is that today there was more news about this that said California has been hit by tornadoes in connection with this atmospheric river. Winds in some parts of Southern California got over 100 miles an hour.
Ouch.
Ouch. What do you do when the wind is over 100 miles an hour?
Stay indoors.
Either that or fly. I mean, really, this is a serious problem when winds are that high. That's into strong hurricane levels.
I was just going to say hurricane levels. Sure.
Yeah, I think hurricane levels begin at 73 miles per hour. That's just a recollection of mine.
They can do a lot of damage.
They can do a lot of damage. 100 miles an hour can do a lot of damage, and tornadoes can do. When I was a kid, Tom, I had a friend who lived on a farm in Illinois. I lived in Illinois, and I went out and visited the place where they lived, and this friend showed me where a tornado had come out of the sky. It had just come down out of the sky and touched the ground and then retracted again. So it didn't move along the ground at all. It just touched the ground in one spot. And in that one spot was a circle in which the trees had been braided around each other.
All twisted.
All twisted. It was utterly bizarre. I'd never seen anything like it. It was absolutely bizarre. And of course, the trees that were just outside that circle appeared to be unaffected, except for any branch that protruded into it, which would have been cut off. Tornadoes are not something that you want to get messing around with.
It's probably grown over now, but there was a tornado touchdown on the road between Wardsboro and Jamaica.
Actually, years ago when I lived in New Hampshire, there was a tornado that touched down. Well, it touched down. It's known that it touched down in Bernardston, but I believe
They touched down and went in for about a mile.
Yeah, yeah.
Just left a big scar.
Yeah, tornadoes are, they're usually not all that big in New England. They're not all that damaging, but don't walk into one just to find out what's there. Anyway, that's the report for the week.
That's the article we're going to talk about today.
What's that?
That's the last article we're going to talk about today.
It is, absolutely. And what we're telling people for the week is that they should have an uncommonly comfortable week. So, here we are at the end of the show, and we invite you all to come back next week. Tom has a special way of doing that.
You'll come back and see us now, you hear?
What accent is it that you're trying to duplicate there, Tom?
Well, somewhere in the South, that's for sure.
Somewhere in the South. This is a somewhere in the South accent. I believe, in fact, it's a California accent that originated in Harvey, in Hollywood. Anyway, Tom is waving goodbye. I am waving goodbye. Come on back and see us now, you hear?
And my cat's waving goodbye.
The cat is waving goodbye. All right.